When it drops on the big point, the breaking point, it's just like the audio's just and it's like the hairs on the back of my neck are going up, and that sort of intense energy is just fucking wild, and it's so exciting and has my heart racing every time.
There was a house. There was a house in a field on the side of a cliff, and the waves crashing below were just set to be a myth. So they ignored the warnings from the ships in the docks. Now the house on the cliff is the wreckage on the rock.
Welcome to Beyond the Breakdown. Now today, Enter Shikari are here in Cardiff, Wales, and they are renowned for having one of the most incredible live productions we've ever seen in today's rock and metal era. Whether you're thinking about their confetti cannons, laser lights, video walls, or the incredible energy inside of the venue, tonight we're answering the question, how do they do it? So let's hop into the venue. They're putting together all of the lighting rigs and loading in the equipment, so let's see how it's going. Have a whole team that's helping you put this all together, but at the same time you're still so hands-on. So what is it for you that keeps you fired up to be so engaged in making it perfect?
Well, I think we all just like love it, you know. Like we were brought up, you know, in like hardcore punk scenes, playing the sweaty little venues, and you know I adore all of that, and we still do all of that. But at the same time, I also love like theatrics and like kind of embellishing the music and making it like a visual thing and making it like a multi-sensory thing, you know. Yes. It's just like another avenue of creativity, really. And you can bring the songs to life in different ways, and you can kind of hone in on different emotions that you're trying to convey with a song, and with a visual you can like make that much more the foreground and make it much more hard hitting. So it's just, yeah, it's all about kind of building upon the like original intent of the music and just like making it something bigger and grander.
Yeah.
We've always been a DIY band, and as we've grown, we've just expanded our knowledge to kind of keep the DIY. I think it's something that helps our live shows feel more like us, even when we scale them up.
I mean, certainly in our performance, like we don't think any differently. Like when we walk on stage, it doesn't matter if it's like a 200 cap venue or if it's whatever this place is, 7,000 or something. You know, it's like it's still, to us, it's a chance to play our music and try and connect with people. And that's really all that matters. And now, obviously, when you get to this size, you have the added possibility of making it more of a show, and that's a real thrill on a creative side, and it's really kind of like nourishing to do that as well.
I'm sure.
We try to outdo ourselves every time, and it gets more and more difficult because every time, like, okay, how are we going to do it? How are we going to improve on that? How can we do? Like, we put so much into each one.
I know.
And like, we're never going to be able to go back down to anything less now. So we kind of shot ourselves in the foot. You know, we should have kept it nice and simple, just a backdrop and a green wash for the whole show.
I mean, this tour is definitely the most ambitious production we've done.
A lot of people have been saying that they haven't seen a show like this before.
There's a lot of moving parts to this show, and you know, like we always, even after the show, like, you know, we've done 5 or 6 shows on this tour now, so even after every show we sit down and make some notes on what could have been better, what could have worked better, or things we need to change. So yeah, it's kind of wake up, go for a run, and then start making all the changes.
I mean, we're still adding things to the set, even like creatively, we're like changing things and adding things. So it's the day's full.
I mean, where does this originate, getting so involved? Because it would be so easy to just delegate all of these creative tasks and ideas to other people. So how did you all end up
Well, I think it comes from probably the very start of it would have been when we toured ourselves around, like 20 years ago now.
I feel
in
that.
like in a little old post office van, and we just had our equipment in a box in the back, and we'd tour around just like a couple of little strobes, just this big, and we'd have a little button by my foot that I'd click on the heavy sections, and the strobes would go off, and that was the extent of it. But we were forced to kind of build our own shows, even though we were only playing like the back room of a pub or whatever. We wanted it to be as dramatic and all-encompassing, what's the word, like immersive as possible. So not just coming to hear the music, but a full sensory experience. And so I think it just kind of grew from there.
I mean, like, it wasn't always as technical as it is now. That's kind of grown with us, and we've each kind of grown into our respective roles, I guess. So it just feels like a real team effort now.
Like Rao is very much involved in the sort of audio side of it and making any remixes or stuff like that. Rob does like a lot of transitions. Chris then takes that audio and puts it into Ableton, where we can, because we'll sort of do our creation on Logic, and then put all the audio into Ableton to play it live. And then I sort of duck about doing a bit of everything.
I wish my job was just the drums. Like, it would be a lot. So many times I just wish we were just a normal band with drums, guitars and vocals, and then when it comes to a gig, we just get into a rehearsal studio, play the songs. Okay, we can play them, and that's it. And then we go play. But no, we can't seem to help ourselves, and we have our fingers in every single corner of the production. And a lot goes into it.
I remember just being bored in a rehearsal room waiting for someone else to do it. And I thought, this is probably a better use of something that I can be doing. Because otherwise we were just sitting around waiting to play songs, basically.
A lot of it obviously comes from Rao. I think he's the biggest creative force in the band. He finds it very difficult to clean his hands of something. Like, if something's not quite as he thinks it should be, then he's gonna, say, I think we should do it ourselves, our way, from the lighting, production to like directing and our own music videos and things like that, and creates a lot more work for us. But
Show someone who cares.
But and at the end of the day, it really it's good that like sometimes he says these things. Oh, for fuck's sake, there's gonna be so much more work. But then, like, after it's all done, I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm glad we did that, because it was a lot more work. But then it creates such a better finished, I hate to use the word product because it sounds a bit clinical, but that's kind of what it is. And it just, by the end of it, it's just so much more of an extension of us and who we are, and it really works.
And it's fun. It's good fun.
Yeah.
Once you see it all come together and everything's working, it's like, it's a great feeling.
Are you staying awake for the liftoff? So nice, you'll never believe the sights tonight, the sights tonight, the sights. Are you staying awake for the liftoff? So nice, you'll never believe the sights tonight, the sights tonight, the sights.
There was a quote you said on stage that just really struck me when I was getting ready for this interview. You said, "We control pitch, rhythm, and light to manipulate your emotions." I mean, spot on, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like brutally rational, but
Yeah.
I mean when you analyze what we do, like if an alien race was to come down and analyze what we do, that's probably what they'd come up with, really. And it's always such a wonderful thing, isn't it? Because music sort of, it has this great way of reminding us that we're all the same. We're all vulnerable to music. It's going to make us feel something. I often sort of joke about how there's only two dictatorships that we respect, and it's nature and music.
Wow.
Because you don't really have a choice. You put some music on, it's going to make you feel something, and it's probably going to make you feel something very similar to the person standing next to you at the show. And it reminds us that we all have these, that similar like brain circuits, and we react to things in the same way, and we kind of want things from life in the same way, in a similar way to those next to us. So it's like a nice kind of reminder of our unity and our shared vulnerability in a world that's becoming increasingly divisive.
We refrain from touch, we are satellites. In a cosmic dance amongst the northern lights. And we orbit fast, but I wish we could collide. I'm sick of concealing, I'm sick of the feeling. I no longer want to hide, 'cause I think it could be love. But I can't show you in love. I wanna burn through the atmosphere, soar like a meteor tonight.
These moments in the venues at your shows where it really brings people together. I mean, you have satellites in the set, which is so inclusivity focused, and then even having that backstage where you're really connecting with the other side of the room. So is that quite intentional to make sure that you're really hands-on and connecting with the fans too?
Oh, for sure. I mean, for us, that was always the foundation of what this band is. We never had these, delusions of grandeur and like wanting to be like the biggest band in the world. Like so many bands that we grew up with, it was very sort of rapacious and like rat racy, and all they wanted was just to get bigger and bigger, not really for any particular reason. And for us, because we came up in those more like punk scenes, the joy came from not playing bigger venues to more and more people. It was like creating a bigger community, creating a bigger like place where people can go and feel like safe, and they can make friends, lifelong friends, and they can have these experiences where they connect with each other. And when you interact with people on stage and you see the passion, and then when you speak to them afterwards, like that it's a really important aspect of our lives that is kind of discarded anywhere else in life. There aren't really any other areas within our lives where we get to like just come together and like celebrate life and celebrate unity. You can look at like religion, or you can look at sports. They do it to some degree, but they're very discriminate, both of them, whereas music is indiscriminate. Anyone can come together, anyone can have a concept of pitch and rhythm, and they can enjoy it, and then therefore they feel connected. And that's just, it's a really raw, beautiful thing, and we still take that very seriously. Our jobs are essentially to bring people together and offer a space where they can actually feel that sense of community that I think we all long for in our lives. If you look back into our hunter-gatherer times as a species, like that's kind of what we're built for. That's what we evolved as, and we've in modern life we've very much lost that. So it's almost like we're trying to create like a microcosm, like an alternative like space. It all sounds very wishy-washy, but like there's a genuine emotional connection there that I think that works.
I think it's important that music brings out the best in me, as in mental health wise.
Yeah.
They saved my life.
But they played Johnny Sniper from Take to the Skies at Slam Dunk, and I cried my eyes out at it.
As a person who grew up like listening to both electronic music and like heavy music as well, listening to Enter Shikari was like, it's okay to like both. And they sort of opened up that avenue for me to like both. I
don't really know where that kind of influence comes from, but I've always, it's not like I was involved in theatre, but I've always like really appreciated it. And I like creating different atmospheres. I think also growing up with like other styles of music, like I remember my uncle taking me to a Prodigy show, for instance, and there's theatrics there, and there's like other sort of styles of music that I got introduced to, And I guess it just always kind of gave us like justification, really. Like, oh, you are allowed to do this. You don't have to just be like a sweaty, like raw energy, like band that, you know.
You know, as you said, they're a rock band, but they've got all this tracks and synthesizers and all this stuff that goes down really low. Obviously George, who mixes front of house, does a lot of that mixing himself, and I'm just responsible for a PA that translates really well. So we use a piece of software called Smart, and we can make the PA sound the same every day by measuring it with multiple microphones around the venue, and having a PA that translates well on a day-to-day basis means that the show sounds the same on a day-to-day basis. So whether you go to see Enter Shikari at the start of the tour or whether you go to see them at the end of the tour, you should be hearing the same show, which is the show that the band want you to hear. We're touring a speaker system called iRay, 16 boxes of line array per side on the main hangs, with 6 SC2 flown subs behind each main hang, and 12 boxes of the iRay line array on the side hang. And then on the floor, we've got 24 double 18 subs to really move some of that air to give the audience what they want from an Enter Shikari show.
Yeah, and so something I've read quite about with Enter Shikari is that despite being in these massive arena-sized venues, they have that desire to sound almost like they're in an underground club, and that the sound is extremely immersive. So how do you go about really creating that energy in here?
Yeah, so obviously Enter Shikari have come up. They're a rock band. The place you want to go see a rock band is in a sweaty club where you can enjoy it and mosh and dance the night away. The iRay system translates really well. We aim to cover the audience really consistently, so everyone from front to back is experiencing the same show. Especially when we get into those large arenas where you might be quite far away, you might be at the back of the arena. So if we want everyone to hear the same show. We want to replicate what George is doing throughout the arena, so everyone enjoys it.
So it really doesn't matter where you stand then? No. Is there like a best spot though?
I mean, the best spot is always where I'm stood, right in front of house. But no, really, everywhere at an Enter Shikari show with this system is going to sound exceptional. Yeah,
and so what does all of this do? If you could give me like a brief rundown. What's in front of me?
So I've got obviously 3 screens here, and a drive rack and my toolbox. So we have 3 processors, 3 Lake LM44s, and obviously we've got 3 consoles here, and we have to submix them all to get to the PA. So these 3 LM44s work as like a little console, and we use Lake controller to do that. I've also got this computer here which runs the software which controls all the amplifiers. So we have individual control of every speaker in the arena. So we can turn them up, turn them down, EQ them to make them all sound the same. And then on this screen here, I've got a Smart, my analyzer software, which is what we use to tune the PA to on a day-to-day basis. It also gives us SPL targets, so we know how loud it is at front of house, so we can aim for a consistent volume throughout the set.
So people's ears aren't completely blown out at the
exactly.
end of the night, so it's at a decent level.
Yeah, exactly that.
This is Guitar World.
Guitar World.
Sam, my guitar tech, looks after all the guitars. So we run all digital, so it's all Kempers there. We got my main, mine's spare. Sorry, it's a working environment, I suppose. So yeah, we've got like main and spare.
So what do these do for anybody who doesn't know what all these buttons look like?
Right, sorry, yes. So this is basically, these are amp profilers.
Right.
So I've got about 100 different amps and like 50 different pedals and loads of different effects going on inside it. It's just like a lot more convenient than carting around big amps and the giant pedal boards and stuff. We've got very basic pedal boards now.
It's super condensed then. So basically all of the audio for the guitars is right here.
Yes, exactly.
So can we see some of your favorite guitars that you use?
Yeah, well, I actually only use one guitar. I like to keep it super simple. The less points of failure, the better.
So which is the lucky guitar?
I just use one guitar, which is this one. Just Fender Telecaster. I can't remember what it's called there. And the only modification I make is put an Evertune bridge in.
Yeah.
And this is basically some magical device that keeps the strings perfectly in tune by like counteracting the tension of the string with like each string has its own spring in the back, which is putting against the tension of the string, keeping it like perfectly in tune.
Wow, so that comes in handy so you don't have to pause the show at any point to tune your guitar.
Exactly.
Right.
So it's super handy for like for our shows because they're quite energetic. I might go in the crowd or something like that. So like that doesn't put it out of tune. You know, it's like,
that is crazy.
It's crazy, yeah.
So yeah, basically, if someone in the crowd decides they want to mess around with your guitar, they're not doing anything.
Exactly. I wasn't born yesterday.
Well, about 2 weeks before this tour started, we made a decision to completely revamp all the keyboard designs. So they're completely new. We used to have a keyboard which we named Sparky, which was a 3D printed thing, but we just got rid of him. We sent him to his grave.
No. Was he in trouble?
Yeah, he kept messing up.
Can't have that around
Can't
here.
have that. No. He just got a bit, you know. We'd had him for about 2 albums tours, so we wanted to switch things up and change things up a little bit.
I was thinking about Sparky.
It's a travesty, isn't it?
It's a travesty. Very sad.
People are kicking off.
But there's kind of a bigger picture thing here because I loved that Sparky really tied it to the Spark, the album, and I see even in the merch designs tonight that the designs do tie into the new album that's out, and there's really kind of this like cohesive universe surrounding Enter Shikari where everything is tied together.
Yeah.
So when it comes to this production, how have you kind of been mindful of keeping everything cohesive?
Well, I mean, as you've sort of just alluded to, we have been quite harsh in some places, and that we've just like got rid of stuff.
Time's got to change sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and there's like so many parts of the set where me and Rory both wanted to have a kind of more options really in how to play things. We've gone through many different like MIDI modules and things. We had this wonderful MIDI sphere that we used once, and yeah, all these types of keyboards and pads and things. But yeah, we realised it was probably time to have like 2 actual stations on stage, because Chris just had his keyboard and then we had Sparky. And you know, I'm sure Sparky will return at some point. But yeah, it was definitely about trying to create a completely new show for this run, really.
Yeah, so this is mine and Rail Station. So we just have these pads here. We have these pads here for triggering just MIDI samples from Ableton.
Yeah.
This is a MIDI keyboard.
This looks fun.
Yeah, and you can just control synths, soft synths on Ableton with that. And then this is a microkorg. We bought this just before this tour actually because Raul used to use one of these during like our first album.
Yeah.
So we thought it might be a good throwback. It's also quite fun.
You're playing quite a lot of different songs. You're playing old, new stuff. It's a very varied set list.
Yeah, we tried to mix it up as much as we can.
Yeah, it makes all the fans happy.
But yeah, this is all just audio. This isn't MIDI. So we tried to mix up the audio and MIDI synths.
Yeah.
We've got Chris's thing over here.
Okay.
Places. So here, Chris. Well, actually, Chris had an analog synth here, but it actually got stolen last night in Manchester.
Oh, so you've had to find a quick replacement then?
Yeah.
Is that how this goes on the road sometimes?
Yeah. Well, actually, sorry, I shouldn't make accusations. But it's lost. We assume someone stole it, but it might still turn up.
Someone wanted a really good souvenir from the show.
Yeah, it was no one from the venue, so you know, I don't know to make that clear. But yeah, so at the moment we got just a MIDI keyboard here, MIDI keyboard here. It's got 3 drum pads that trigger MIDI notes, which go through the SPDS, so you can make lots of fun sounds with that.
And I know a lot of the songs are adapted live compared to how they are in the recording. So do
Yeah.
you get to play around a lot more in the live setting with this kind of
Yeah,
stuff?
We always try to like add at least like 4 or 5 like remixes of songs, or like restructure the song in an interesting way.
fighter. Destiny needs the teeth, so when I go under the knife, I believe we get to hell. Bad luck, you pay the price. You throw a shot, you will not profit off our help. Step the fuck back.
Music can be so fluid. It can change, you know, that we can play it differently. You can drag bits out, and so there are many parts that we play that lend themselves really well to sort of, if there's a quiet, calm part in the middle of a song, it's like, right, let's drag that out for, you know, another 48 bars or something, and just sort of have everyone simmer down a little bit and just be sort of playful and creative with it. I think sort of makes the whole experience a bit more exciting because you don't know suddenly which way the music's going to turn. Right from the very start, since we started using electronics, we've sort of fucked around with like remixes, live remixes of our own songs, just because it makes the gig so much more.
Well, it's something they can't get at home, isn't it?
Something they can't get at home, exactly. It's sort of a reason, another one of the many reasons to come see it live. It just keeps it exciting, it's fun, and it just sort of proves how music is constantly changing and developing and sort of there to be played with.
We, like on a previous tour, we tried Rao just doing like a spoken word version of System rather than just playing the song. He just like stands there and says the lyrics as if it's a poem. And it was just really powerful. So we thought maybe that would be a good way to start the show, because previously we've always had some sort of atmospheric intro building up and then like, and then eventually it goes into the first song, but we're like, actually let's make it like more theatrical this time, and like Rao just walks out on the stage, spotlight comes on, he does like a spoken word poem. It's just like quite an interesting way to start a rock show,
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the one that like it will actually stick with me is when I'm on top of the tower performing the little like, you know, chilled out, low tempo, just solo bits, because it's like an enforced moment to breathe. You know, like the cityscape comes up and it feels like very. Just kind of like romantic, really. I mean, it looks like a theatre backdrop. We purposefully made the backdrop to kind of look like, you know, those kind of old school like cardboard cutouts that will get wheeled on and stuff, and then we've got little bulbs that hang down. So yeah, it's all it feels quite kind of warm and pretty, and yeah, it's always a moment that's like I get to take a breath and take it all in. You know?
Now we have like a cityscape. Like I did use like Mid-Journey to like make a cityscape and then animated over it and made these into buildings. And like Rao sits on top of them and like does a little acoustic thing, and it's like.
So it's so interactive as well.
Yeah, we try to like just be creative with it as possible to kind of try and give people new ideas.
Towards the end of Jailbreak, so the production that we've done is basically we have all these big light beams go vertically up into the air that creates a kind of prison cell of us on the stage. And there's a build-up towards the last chorus where Rao's sort of breaking down these beams with his hand, and then he shout, and just sort of the build-up, even just on record, always sort of gets me quite emotional because it's sort of powerful and exciting, and building, and the way he's kind of do it, he's sort of singing. He's not really singing in that point. He's sort of talking to the listener, and it's very emotive. And when we play it live, and then there's that tiny cut of silence where he goes, "Jailbreak, jailbreak." He launches himself off the stage into the crowd, breaking that, the what's it called, the
wall.
The wall, the wall, and so launches himself into the audience, and the lights are fucking going nuts, and I'm just going bang, bang, and bang, and the crowd are just going ballistic, like from wall to wall, front to back.
It was my idea to come up with this Shikari prison lights, which we use in Jailbreak. You know, as soon as I heard that song, I'm like, obviously we have to do something prison themed. I'm like,
So
what's better than lights that, you know, I can engage the band in?
Is these lights around the front here, you see there's the ones that are slightly step down?
Yeah.
We've got them all around. We wanted them all to be pointing up to look like prison bars.
I noticed when she was testing out the lights earlier, it does look like prison bars.
Yeah.
So it's these ones down here.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Wow.
Super effective, and then Rao goes and like chops them down, because like at the end he breaks out of the jail of his mind or something, I don't know. And then he like chops them down, and we timed it all. You see, you got the numbers set out here, so he hits that one first, and then that one, and then.
Some of the effects that we're working with Lucy on this run as well, like there's we have a remix of our song Goldfish off our last album, and the lasers, the movement there, they do sort of a bounce in time with the synth. And it's such a simple movement, but it's mad how it's quite trippy, and you sort of like almost lose your balance. If you look up and like, yeah, you're kind of like, yeah, proper kind of, gives you a knock to the head almost. Like,
Yeah.
Goldfish is actually one of my favourite songs. So the moment when the big boggly-eyed fish comes on the video and you see all the crowd get their phones out and everybody's smiling and laughing because it's so goofy, this fish, that's one of my favourite moments.
So you're kind of bouncing around through the whole show then?
Yeah.
For all of this. It's pretty nuts.
Yeah. Like Keith was saying, like another thing with the screens, we try, in our DIY mentality, we make a lot of the screen content ourselves.
Yeah. Who's designing it then, or what's the?
I've done 6 tracks of content for this tour.
Yeah.
Which is sort of the most I've ever really done for anything before. It's really scary actually coming into it. I was like, oh my God, what if it doesn't look good? But it just adds like the personality of the band. It's like we use it as an extension of the personality of us, rather than just commissioning other people to do it, which is, I guess, what most people do, because it's like quite time consuming. But
I imagine
it just makes the show more feel like us, you know, more integrated. The music, our personalities, the visuals, everything's tied in. Also very hands-on with our lighting design as well.
Right.
Like Rao always spends at least 1 or 2 days up at the lighting designer's studio, going through tweaking, like before we even go into production rehearsals.
Right.
So.
We've had a few video content creators on this, Rory being one of them, and I work closely with everybody. I've had Rao round, and we go through everything cue by cue and just make sure everyone's on the same page and everybody's happy, and ultimately everything ties together as one, which is awesome. Exactly. We want everything to work together rather than a laser department and a lights and a video. We just want this. We want it to gel. So the whole idea with Enter Shikari is it's dynamic.
Yeah.
So we go from Rao doing spoken word pieces to the full band kicking in, and it's obviously my job to strip things back when it's needed, but also, you know, have in-your-face moments. So really, I love the band anyway, and I listen to the music, and I just do what feels right for the song and the moment.
If you have a strong idea for a look or an aesthetic, then that will work with the song, then go with that. But if not, then you just do something a bit more abstract.
I take a lot of time with my programming, in programming details. Like, that's the main thing for me. And I listen to the song and I take sections and I'm like, right, there's this synth sound in the song. What can I replicate that with in a lighting world? I suppose it's a little bit of like, I think it's called synthesia, is it? Like, you know, where you hear something and you see things and you put it all together. And
it takes a special mind to hear a song and see the visual in your mind and that you translate into the stage. That's incredible. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, there's certain songs which I listen to and I'm like, that's it, that's what I'm doing, and I have an idea and it comes to me straight away. And then there's other times where I'm like, what am I going to do?
So Jailbreak was one of them, I imagine, having the jail bars,
Yeah, absolutely. That was an immediate thought as soon as I heard the song, was like, we have to do something cool like this.
Yeah. So is everything, you're saying it's all tied in, so when you think about like the album artwork for the latest album, is that sort of an influence when you're designing, or what are you really thinking of?
We tried to do that. I mean, one of the bits of content is like an animated version of our album artwork. So we tried to do that, but I mean, our album artwork this time was a AI generated flower. So unless we had a giant flower on stage, that wouldn't be very...
Yeah. So what were you really pulling from since you were designing all of this? How do you find the creative fuel on what to do for a new show?
It actually all sparked from we did a video shoot. It's quite tenuous how it all started actually, but we did a video shoot that was underwater.
Yeah.
And we were designing production for Slam Dunk Festival at the time. And we thought, wouldn't it be cool if we filmed something while we were filming this music video? We filmed something of like Rao going into the water, and then actually having like that happen live.
Yeah.
So that's where we got the idea for the towers from.
Yes.
So there's one part of the set where
Right
Rao,
here?
yeah, he climbs up this ladder, in fact, and goes and like puts his hand in the tower, and then on the screen it's like the video of when we did the video shoot, and he falls into it. He falls into a mattress, you know.
So that's
Really,
what it is. It's a
yeah, he doesn't
mattress.
actually fall into a LED water.
Can we see the mattress, or is that off limits?
I don't know. Let's have a look. I don't know if it's there yet. We can go and have a look.
This is the back of the tower where he jumps into the water, kind of. Not really.
Yeah, so we got a little platform there,
Yeah.
which has like a bit of plywood or something, and a mattress, and yeah, he just climbs onto that and falls in.
That is amazing. So if you've ever wondered how he jumps in the water without getting wet at all, this is it.
That's it, yeah.
How do you have the cues of getting the timing perfectly, because those have to be so precise?
Yeah, well, because we were in-ear monitors,
Right.
We've got a channel on Ableton that we call the nudge track, which we can record whatever we wanted to. We just record on our notes app on our phone and just, airdrop it to the computer, just put it in there. And we can just so we can put in nudges that only we hear, basically.
Right.
So it's not coming out front house, it's just for us.
Amazing.
So Rao has something in his ears saying that he recorded going, approach the tower, climb the ladder, put your hand in 3, 2, 1. Take it out in 3, 2, 1, like that. So it's all timed properly.
That is clever. Because it is so flawless. Like there's no room for error in this stuff. So that's really, really
exactly.
neat to know that
Yeah,
it's all right here.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Pretty giving away all the secrets now, but.
There's a lot of different kind of lights going on, and a lot of different effects happening. So can you walk me through the different kinds of lights that are being utilized in this production specifically tonight?
Sure, absolutely. So we've got Roby Mega Pointies are the main hybrid fixtures, and I love them because they're so punchy, and you can go from a tight beam and you can go to big open gobo looks and make some really pretty things, so they're super dynamic. And then we've got some Roby Spiders in the rig, which I choose because the colours in them are just lovely. They're just very nice. The bars in the air, which is creating the kind of grid look, they're the ADJ Jolt bars, which again, I love them because they're like two fixtures in one. You've got the bright white center, so I can do my big strobe effects, but then I can also use my pixel mapper and I can use the RGB elements of them. We've got more beams on the floor. They're the Shoreway R3 beams. I like how tight they are. I think they're like a 0.9 degree beam, so they're super tight.
So yeah, for this tour, it's
You're right.
sorry, it's based around LED screens, as you can see, and then we've brought in these lighting rig here above, and then we've got some floor lights, and
There's a lot of light going on.
it's a lot of lights.
You
yes.
kind of need sunglasses up there.
Yeah, I think these screens are only running at like 10% brightness as well.
That's crazy.
Like they can go up super bright, which I don't know why you'd ever need that, but
I mean, this looks so bright from the crowd, but it's even brighter when you're right in front of them on stage.
Yeah.
Do you ever find that
Yeah.
it gets distracting, or are you used to it at this
no, I
point?
love it. It's so fun. It's so fun. It's like being in an art installation as well. Yeah, so we got two of these 4 meter high towers, 4 meters by 2 meters. And then we got this drum riser here, which is 5 meters by 2 meters.
Have you ever
by 2
tried
meters.
sliding down this?
Yes, I can actually. We have some perspex over the front and the top, so you can actually walk up it.
No way.
Yeah. So these are just, they're the same panels there, but they've literally just got perspex on, and then there's like, that's all screen as well, which the drum kit is on.
Even on the top of the drum riser, it's all screens. That is crazy.
Yeah.
What was the choice to have it run all the way up? Is it just so no matter where you are in the arena, it looks bright?
We just thought it could create some cool uplighting effects on the drummer.
They say follow your heart, which is bad advice when it's been broken into. Now it's compromised. I've lost sight of what is real, and now you're going under. My eyes are bloodshot, and I've seen it all before. This film, it won't stop, and through your lens the world is an eyesore. My eyes are bloodshot. I don't wanna lose everything we got. This film, it won't stop. My eyes are bloodshot, I've seen it all before. But this film, it won't stop. And through your lens, the world is an eyesore.
I mean, any of the laser moments are all, they just kind of, they're very surreal, but at the same time they're a bit of like a, if you're having a show where you're a bit all over the place and you're not like feeling present, like when a laser comes on across the above your head, it's just like you're like in that moment suddenly, and you feel sort of, you know, cocooned by this like light. And it's like, you know, lasers have been, how long have they been around now? Like decades. Like it's not exactly a new technology, but it still can take your breath away when it comes on.
It still looks so cutting edge.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, like most of the time we have an idea. Like there's one part in the set that we'll play tonight where some lasers come down into Raoul's hand. So we had that idea, then made some audio for it to work, designed the screens for it to all play in sync, and
Yeah. No.
it's always just bite off more than we can chew.
I'm quite enjoying the, there's a moment where I have lasers in my hands and you feel very sort of godly and powerful, so that's been quite fun. It's been really arduous to get right as well. Every day we have to like position these lasers, and I swear my like arm span seems to change every day to their annoyance.
Yeah, and I know that one thing about Shikari is things are always happening on the fly. The set list has been changing almost every day of the tour, so you kind of have to be ready for anything on this thing, right?
Absolutely, yes. They certainly keep me on my toes with daily changes, you know, tweaks, adding bits in, taking bits out. So yeah, it always gives me plenty to do on the day.
It changes every day. You never really know quite what you're facing. You can do as much prep as possible, but then you'll realize that actually there's a bit of the rigging that changes everything when you get into the room. But yeah, just a lot of tinkering and finessing.
Well, one of the fun things about the tour is that as much advancing as you do, like, and you try to get like the venue specs from the venues ahead of time. You never really know the room until you're in it, and so like you don't know exactly how your production's going to fit, and obviously a lot of that is to do with our stage manager and production manager. And by the time we come in, you know, a lot of it's already been figured out and stuff. But there's little things like where the B stage is going to go, or sort of how high the screen can go up before it's in the rafters and you're sort of blocking half of the screen with the lights, and it seems to sort of be a constant battle between just like the room itself and trying to get everything that we want to happen during the set happening on stage.
Well, George,
Hey.
you are handling front of house and you're the production manager
Yeah.
for this whole show tonight and throughout this tour with Enter Shikari. So for
Yeah.
anyone who doesn't know, first of all, what do those two titles mean and what are your jobs?
So front of house is looking after this and all the information that comes from the stage that we project to the audience. So all the things that the band are doing, we reinforce it and send it out for everyone to listen to.
Yeah.
In a roundabout way.
Yeah.
And the production manager is overseeing all aspects of production. So that could be this, screens, lasers, lights, stage. So kind of all of them departments overseeing all of that as one. The guys love getting involved. Rory will be in video land messing with something and that, I just love that. It's ace.
Yeah, it's always growing, always
Yeah.
evolving together.
Yeah, I mean, it won't be the first time, and it happens all summer, that Rory will want to swap a video out, and will be, 5 minutes before changeover, messing with videos, and yeah, it keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keeps you on your toes for sure.
That whole immersive thing is, I think that stems also from when we were a much smaller band, and we'd literally, the other three would only spend about half the gig on the stage. They'd be out in the audience and doing as much as they can to reach the back of the room. And we're sort of trying hard to make sure that the people at the back of the room feel like they're just as much in the show and a part of the show as the people right on the front, on the barrier.
And you still do that with the B stage now.
Yeah, with the things like the B stage and using things like having our lighting trusses coming out beyond the stage and over the heads of the audience. The lasers, that's the lasers is an excellent way of sort of dragging our show from the stage to the back of the room.
Yeah.
Confetti, coming out of the audience, so they can literally sort of take home a piece of the show with them.
Every time we fall, criminal.